Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Hello, Brissy. Hey, wait for get a sound check here. Get some coffee in me. I just woke up again for the second time here. There we go. Let me get that back online. See how this thing goes. There, that looks perfect. I wish I could get the sound over here. Hello, man. Hello, Mgtows. Let's go your own way. Go your own way, man. All your Simpsons are forgiven. Go your own way. All your Simpsons are forgiven. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? That has a message in it. Go your own way. All your Simpsons from the past are forgiven. When you come into Mgtow, you're anew. You're fresh. You get a new life. And what is that talking about? Well, it's talking about shame. Yeah, it's talking about shame, things from the past. There's different types of shame. And in Mgtow, we talk about a specific type of shame. We talk about a few types of shame, not just one specific type of shame, but one specific type of shame comes out over the rest of everything. Like in the low bar, they're down there in the low bar down there, and there's a difference between having no shame as a man that would. Having no shame, a man that walks around with his, shirt open, his chest hanging out, his junk, bulging and hanging out, he's a shameless person. There's a difference between having no shame and being a shameless person, being aware of an act that you have done and internalizing shame, having shame cast upon you and being shameless are two different things. Let's talk about this today. I do think some of the boys around here get this confused. I'm going to take my glasses off so I can actually see close up, because things get, for me, if I keep my glasses on, things I can't see close up. I do think some of the boys get this confused. Shame's an unconscious, a self-conscious emotion. Shame is one of our basic emotions, typically associated with a negative evaluation, which comes down from inside of you, like you're a shortstop on a baseball team. The ball's coming right at you. You know you got it, and it hits the heel of your glove, and it bounces off, and you miss it. You got to go into the bullpen, and you sit there with your face down, and you're shamed. You're evaluating your performance. You evaluate oneself in these things. For instance, there's act of contrarianism too in shame. There's act of contrary. There's acts of conscious shame of the values and the ideas of oneself. Like I said, there's two kinds of shames. Shame that's evaluated by negative feelings for a positive outcome, and there's shame that's evaluated as of guilt. Both are opposite of each other. The experience, you experience shame differently in these things. One's about self, in the focus of evaluating, how am I going to get better? How am I going to, next time that ball comes at me, next time I'm there, I'm going to field that ball, get it, tag the base, get one out, throw it to the first base, get the other guy out. And I'm going to be that, that He-Man, that Ultraman, that Superman. And one is of guilt. And that's the one that concerns me about Mgtows. Mgtows sometimes think when we say to eliminate shame, they think it is to be shameless. And shameless is different. Shame is often associated with sexuality and sexual acts. And them are some of the hardest things for men to get over. The guilt part is the self of the central you, because instead of your inner self being the central object in trying to in negation, And this is where absurdity comes in. When I talk about absurdity, life is absurdity. It's done by negation. It's instead of you being the central object of negation and evaluation, rather the thing becomes about the act done, and it's about the act or the about observing or focusing on the act. And it becomes two separate things. Shame does. And shame branches off into many, many things. Shame comes in us in a lot of what we look at a lot in Mgtow is the social aspects of shame that's emphasized on shaming societally to and what I talk about a lot, social activities, to regulate social activities of humans. Shame has become something women do to men to regulate the social activity of men. Shame is used on people that commit what other people would think some aggression towards them, or some malfeasance towards them. It's done in the workplace. Social aspects of shaming can be done in the workplace to get men to work harder. You guys are a bunch of losers. You guys are losing. Your boss does this to you. You guys are, bad for the company. He wants you to work harder. He wants something of that. That's the kind of shame that we talk about in Mgtow being very destructive. When it becomes the social aspect of shame, your boss wants you to work harder. Your government wants you to pay more taxes. Your women want you to do more for them. They give men this badge of shame automatically so they can get something from men. So men are always cognitively dissonant in their mind about not being able to hold up to the standards of society. Now we know there's guilt shame, which is different. There's social shame, which is different. There's cognitive dissonance, which is different. There's retrogressive shaming that is different. There's sociopathical shaming that is different. I know there's a lot of different types, but they boldly fall into two categories, or three categories, let's say, that shame for yourself, a negative, so you regulate negative emotions and you become a better person through this feeling that you didn't stand up to society's and that is used by the other two groups, the guilt shaming, for something that has done wrong. You are not the object of that wrong. You are that sometimes sexual like with the dolls, the guys use the dolls, and I think that's so shameful. And then, but they say, oh, I'm going to be shameless about this, and that's where we take the positive of this emotion that we have, this general basic. It's one of our general basic emotions, and we take the positivity out of that, and we take defeat and we make it into a victory. As humans, we climb mountains. First time I couldn't do it. I was shamed. So, and then the second time I got most of the way up. The third time I conquered the mountain. And it was all through that negative emotion of evaluating myself over and over and over again. And that's a positive thing. But when you become shameless, that's no longer a positive thing. Or when you use shame like two little girls in a playground talking about a little boy and go, yes, he's such a dirty little boy. And then he puts his head down. And that's the kind of shame, that's social shame, and it's a shame campaign. And we get a shame campaigns on us as men. And like I said, most men have to wear a badge of shame. It's already assumed that we've done something wrong in our lives. Sorry, I just woke up, and I woke up for the second time today. This is the second time I woke up. I woke up at 7 this morning. And I got Dougie outside. He was bouncing off of things. Dougie's very sick now, and I had to direct him outside, and I had to wash him off because he's covered with urine, and get him outside and get him back in, and I have to lift him up over the door now because he's very, very sick and he's getting old. And so it's 5 o'clock, and it was 5, 7 in the morning, somewhere there. So I made myself breakfast, and then somewhere around 8 or 9, I fell back asleep on the couch and got my second morning that I could wake up, and that's what this is. So yeah, this is my second wind in the morning. So I made myself some coffee, and it's a delicious Costa Rican blend that I made. So we're talking about shame. There's lots of different kinds of shame, and shame is used by people now, and that's where Mgtow talks about shame. From the negative, we learn positive. From these things that we get cast upon us, we do not learn nothing. It's a way to motivate us. So our social activities, and police use shame, authorities use shame, workplaces use shame, women use shame, and they all use shame against you because they want something from you. Yes, they do. They want something from you. And that's the shame we talk about. It's the same kind of shame that they would throw on a slave. If they wanted something from a slave, they would throw that kind of shame on him because, oh, you got to work harder. You're a useless slave. And that's what they're telling us. We're useless slaves if we don't do everything they want us to do. Oh no, we could never be that. So the good morning, Father. No, good morning, Mgtow Reaper, Brissy Boy, Silent Sage, whoever's in. Let me see. Not a lot of people in this morning. This is my usual. This is my usual spot that I've been doing for years and years and years, and I'm going to try to get back on the 12 o'clock morning spot where I feel more comfortable at, and there's no football going on now, so you don't have to compete. I don't have to, worry about getting done early, and go your own way, man. Go your own way. All your sins are forgiven, and that's an idea of shame too. It's an idea that when you come to Mgtow, you're you're a new person, a new man, and you have these baggage from the past, but don't think about it. Don't think about that. Put that in the past. Learn from your mistakes. Take that negation, make it into a positive thing, and then move along in your life. Shame comes in so many different ways at us. It's almost incredible. It's one of our primary emotions. So why wouldn't it be so heavily involved in our life? But Mgtows, we have to learn how to deal and negotiate with that, because the world out there, they have learned how to manipulate shame against men, how to make men feel, and it's an honor code with men. There's always an honor code with us. I always say, read the book, Southern Culture, the Violence of Southern Culture by Nesbitt and Cohen. And then it's not even a book. It's like 126 pages. Every college student reads it at some point, and it's about violence. It's about honor codes. It's about what we are as human beings and stuff, and it gives us a very good understanding of the farming, herding culture, and men turn swords into plows and plows back into swords, and stuff like that. And you're a farmer one day, you're a soldier one day, and your honor. Men are trying to come, predators are trying to come and take my farm. We still have that in us. And that's year, 2000, 3000, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to 100. We don't actually know, as anthropologists, we don't know how long that's been in us. Evolutionarily, we've been farmers and herders. Yeah. I wish I wanted to get a goat here. But I can't get a goat. But I really want to get a goat so I can make goat cheese. And I just, get a goat. I want to be goat, but I don't think they're going to let me do it. So hello, Forrest. Hello, Silent Sage. Hello, Father No. Hello, everybody that's in here. We're talking about shame, and I know each one of you guys. Each one of you guys, when you came to Mgtow, that was the thing that you couldn't put your thumb on. What are they doing to us? This is one of the ideas, shame, the shame culture, the the social shame that we get. Why do we do the things we do? And for years and years and years, when I was a young man, every time I'd feel that, I would automatically associate it with honor. I had to be honorable. I had to do the right thing. I had to be the best shortstop. I had to be the best student. I had to, because otherwise there was shame involved in that. And then I realized that, kids would manipulate you with shame. Girls would manipulate us all the time with shame. They do it. I mean, the last word of every woman out of a relationship that's leaving is the words of shame. Oh, your penis is so small. It always goes back to the penis, is small thing, and you're not much of a man, and you can't take care of me as a woman because you're not much of a man. You hear those things from women as they're going out, and every man that they ever left was not a man in the next guy's eyes, knowing that, it's all about the competition. It's all about the tournament. It's all about those things for her. But shame gets thrown on us. It gets cast on us. And the logical, honest response to that, knowing hurting culture and from farming and herding culture, when something violates your honor, you automatically take swords up against it. What swords do we take up against it now in this society? Well, it's just an intense feeling of I have to do more. So the government and your boss and women and everybody wants men to do more. The best way to do it is shame. We can look at the 6 o'clock news, which we don't have anymore since George Bush took that away from us. But we look at what they want of our society. They want a slave class. They want these people to work hard. And I've often been trying to explain lately that they're coming to take our jobs. That kind of mentality is, who could be the best slave? I'm the best slave. That's the slave mentality. When you get affected by shame in that way, Nietzsche talks about it. Jung talks about it. When you get affected by shame in that way, you automatically tell on yourself, and you automatically tell, you have that slave mentality. I often notice this in the conservative party. They're coming to take our jobs. We got to stop the Mexicans from coming across the border, our gerbs, and they have pitchforks and lanterns, and they're gonna seal off the border and everything. What they're saying in their coming to take our jobs is, I'm the best slave. I'm a better slave than him, boss. And your boss knows that. Who's the boss? The boss are the billionaires, the millionaires, the multimillionaires, the billionaires in our society. They know that. They know to press those buttons of shame with you. It's what makes it's what makes utilitarianism so destructive and so cringy when I look at it. And maybe I'm the whole guy in the world that self-analyzes and analyzes these things on people. And I do a pretty good job of it, but nobody wants to hear it. But yeah, it gets also cringy in our society, and shame has a lot to do with it. Yeah, they're taking our gerbs. I love that. That's from South Park. If you're not when they're running through South Park with a pitchfork, South Park is a cartoon. If you haven't watched it, you must have been locked in a box for the last 10 years. But that's one of the episodes. Yeah, that's all about shame. It's about what you can get from the male utility, and that's what we talk about in here. We talk about how we are being manipulated, the manipulated man. And shame is one of those things. What other things are they give you? We often hear, we're gonna, if you do this, you're gonna get this. So they're chipping you off a little piece, and they're putting a carrot out on the string for you. You do this act, you'll get here. You'll do this act, you'll get here. If you're a good soldier, you'll get this. And what I found is being a good soldier in America never got me anything out here in the real world. They neglect you twice as much as you. They're afraid of you, actually. If you're a good soldier, when you come back, all those promises, all those honor, all that honor you had. I mean, in the army, they're masters at getting men to be so honorable that that a little bit of shame, they would kill for a little bit of shame. And that all comes crashing down when that all comes crashing down when you come back, or you're back here and everything. So you find out, oh man, I got so fucking manipulated, just like a bitch would do to me. You bitches, Uncle Sam, you bunch of bitches. Yeah, but they're masters at that. And my buddy often talks about, all I got when I come back is spit on in San Diego. When he came back from Vietnam, I was like, oh, I feel so bad for him, But yeah, the culture of honor, shaming honor has a lot to do that. So there's a lot of different branches, and there's a lot of lies, and there's a lot of manipulation in females. And like I said, your government, your woman, your people in general will do it too. And shaming, online shaming. I mean, if you haven't experienced online shaming, well, that's the whole, what are you, gay? You gay? It's like, no, I really don't feel any of those kind of emotions. I'm a monk and I'm celibate, and I don't have no sexual preference anymore. It's like I don't have that. No, would I be gay? Yeah, no, that doesn't. And that's relieving yourself, letting that shit roll off your back. If you're easily triggered every time someone says something, you got to grow a thick skin around the internet here. If you're easily triggered like these young guys are, if you don't let that shit roll off your back, you're going to be shamed into things. And that's the thing why we try to teach this in Mgtow, because the rest of the world's trying to get you to do something. Now I see these, I see the boys playing games around Mgtow now, and I see all I see is from the way I think, and I think very much differently than a lot of people. All I see is social manipulation when I see that, when they're playing these Project Mayhem games and they're running around. He's not a Mgtow. He's not a Mgtow. He's not a Mgtow. He's not a Mgtow. And they're like, we're gonna purge Mgtow of all this stuff, and we're gonna. What happened there is there was some kind of shame. There was someone induced shame onto them, or they proliferated that shame in them, and that's one of the things that we watch out for it here in Mgtow. That's why we try to articulate it. That's why I expected anybody to at least read the Wikipedia page before you come into Mgtow. And it's the first thing we do. Relieve yourself of all that. Go your own way, man. That's what that's about. Go your own way, Mgtow. All your sins are forgiven. All that stuff in the past is forgiven. Don't bring that to Mgtow with you. And that's about relieving yourself of that shame and that duty and that honor of being the archetypical male. Jordan Peterson does this. You hear him say it all the time. You have to be the archetypical male, and then you think about that. Think about what he's saying in that statement. All he wants is you. His job as a teacher is to mold little minds into good little workers and good little soldiers and good little patriots and good little nationalists. And oh, fuck fear, guilt, and shame. Yes, Joey, F that. F that stuff. I'm gonna approve the messages. Hello, really bad channel name. I haven't seen that going around for a while. Hello, Steve Oak is in now, and Father No still in. Everybody's still in. But yeah, shame is a big subject for us. We need to go through these things sometimes, and we need to reassert what Mgtow taught in the beginning. And you know, you come in and it says, don't be shamed. You know, grow a thick skin. Don't be shameful. And what the boys do often with that is they'll go, well, I'm just gonna be a shameful mother effer. I'm gonna be shameful. And there's a difference because they don't understand the difference, the totality of that, about the negative evaluation of oneself could lead to positive results. And that's where Mgtow goes with this. If you're feeling something emotional deep inside that's a negative evaluation, just I mean, present it to yourself and put it up on the big board and say, should I feel badly about this? You know, that's how you know, social services get men to man up. It's man upping is about shame. Uh, Forrest says, "Hey, Traversable, have you seen cops asking if men is under any medication when he is in a heated argument, and if you call a man crazy, you want things to escalate." Yeah, that's another way, another. You know, they yeah, I could see that. There's the social shame of they put boys on medications now, and then now the observation from the community will be if you're on that medication that you're somehow less or something because the teachers drove you crazy by strapping you to a chair and you needed some kind of medication to calm you down during those times in school, and then now the cops use that. Yeah, I could see that. And that's it's a very good way to get men shamed into, you know, we talk about so many how many of the boys will just go to work. They're going to do the Sisyphus thing. They're going to go to work. They're going to wake up. They're going to eat a small breakfast. They're going to drink some coffee. They're going to run out of the house, take the trolley to work. They're going to do that, come home, cook their dinner, and then fall asleep and do the same thing day after day after day after day, because that's what you're programmed to do from schooling. That's what Jordan Peterson wants from you. He wants you to be that archetypical worker, is what he's saying. And I want you to know, if I took out that this dictionary that I have here, it's the Pocket Veto from 1922 up to 1977. The definition for man was worker. We were looked at as workers. The definition for female was a gender opposite of male. They got their own designation. They got their own agency. Men, all we are looked at as workers, and that's what unfortunately in our schooling situations, they still take on those old ways of those old ways of thinking, those old ways of teaching. And Dewey changed everything when he looked at those ways, and they'll say those ways are barbaric and they're obscure and they don't work. But in Texas and Ohio and the Bible belts, they still look at those old ways of shaming young boys into becoming utilitarian workers, because that's what man is in their eyes. He's just a worker. He's just a slave. He's relegated. He's pre-relegated to slavery. And there, who of course are the authority figures? Yes, they give you a subtle form of classism with that, and then the classes build outward from that, and you could never, well, if you work hard, you can be one of us. And Mr. Peterson often takes on that attitude. If you work hard, you could be one of us. You know, be the best slave. If you're the best slave, then when you get here, we know you'll be the best slave for us. Um, Manual labor, the mule. Yeah, man, manual labor, a mule. He's a working class. I'll take a picture of that someday in the Pocket Vito and show you that. That up to, I think that was up to 1977, where if you looked at what is men, men, uh, they would say working class, but there's reasons why they do. They need to get our utility. We're the only ones that are going to do that. We're the only ones that were strong enough to till the fields. Have you ever used a pony plow? We used to build pony plows to where I worked. The lost art of pony plows. We're a plow building factory, so we'd build a certain amount of plows for the Amish. And have you ever used? You have to have strong hips and strong legs, big, huge, strong legs, and be a large male to control a pony plow. Back there in the 1800s, pre-farming machinery, humans are the machinery. That's why we have slaves. The only thing that happened in 1860 was that the United States decided that human machinery was going to be replaced by regular machinery, and the South said no. We'll exit. And it wasn't about the people, because most people don't care about slaves. Men today, that's the way they look at us. We look at that analogy. We look at technology. We're going to replace you slaves someday. And that's what they're saying to us. And some people are saying, no, I'm the best slave. My jobs. Hence, we have to build a different society if we think like that. We can't have, hence we'll have to build a more socialistic society. That's what Stalin realized at that point. He wanted to go from a traditional farming. What the whole thing in Russia is moving, since he has vast amounts of land, moving farming from a traditional to a mechanicalized farm, an industrial nation he wanted to move into. And there was the arguments that we wanted to stay traditional, and Stalin said, no, we're going into an industrialized, there'll be no more human farm equipment. And what he was saying, and it became a big war. It's the same as in the United States. It became a big war. Once you understand that in your life, you now understand why we did why we had a civil war. Now look at what's happening today in the shaming and the male and the utility that the male has. We're moving from tech. We're moving into tech. Now we're going through the same thing, and we can look around, and there's these same kind of crises building in the world today, and these same kind of tensions building. Our jobs, you're taking our jobs. And there are some jobs that just can't be taken by machinery, and those are usually the jobs we would have relegated for immigrants, for picking fruit and stuff like that, and farm work, picking cabbages and stuff like that. But there's this strange crossover now here, since a lot of jobs are being mechanized, and men will lose their job, but it will create jobs too. I got the privilege, not much of a privilege, but when I'm a millwright, I have to fix welding robots most of the time, and welding robots are just what that is. They weld, and they do it robotically, but it's not like that process is without air. The wire feed is the same. The oxygen, the oxygen feeds and the gas feeds are the same. And there's rolling pieces of machinery, and there's blocks, and there's milled blocks that wear out, arms wear out, electrical wears out, and everything is wear. And you have an operator that sets it up, and now you need an operator that can set it up, an operator at the end to remove stock. So you have two people working instead of two people welding. So it didn't really take anybody's job. And that's what people think. Oh, robots are just going to take our gerbs. No, they're not. Because somebody's going to have to fix the robot. Somebody's going to have to build the robot. It just doesn't happen. There's wear, and it's chaos in in this in this world we live in. And in this society, when you hear people talk about that, they are pre-living in their mind in a world that is chaos free. So you have to start thinking about their thinking, and about the hypocrisy that's coming off of their lips right now, because you'll often hear some of these people complain about, oh, you guys want to live in this perfect society, you liberals. And they're like, oh, well, in their mind, they're already living in this perfect society where they think that robots are going to take people's jobs, and there's no chaos, there's no entropy. I think, oh man, you guys are a bright bunch that are running our country. My God. Someday we will have a philosopher king, and hopefully it'll be me. So that was the topic for today, and the topic was shame and how you get men to do things for you. Well, you do it through shame, and women know that, and governments know that, and the public knows that. Everybody knows that. Your mother even knew that. How are you going to get you to do something, mow the grass? Oh, you dirty little boy. You dirty, dirty little boy. You're not doing it right. You're not worlding right. You're not humaning right. On the internet, they shame you, and you're not interneting right. Somehow you never could internet right because you're gay. We see it all the time. With men, they shame us into getting to work hard. Your boss gets you to work harder by telling you how useless is, and he can replace you with monkeys and robots. But that's not really true, because life has chaos and entropy, and only humans can deal with chaos and entropy. Even he is neglectful of his duty to think about that right in his conservative traditional actions, because what I just explained, there's chaos and entropy, and he's living in this world that he thinks is perfect, and he's blaming you on that. And it's like, oh man, project much? It's like, you idiots. So things come along, and we do these things, and but in Mgtow, we have to be guarded against all these little things, these shame that come at us in so many different ways, and it's so complex. It's huge. It's a huge thing. There's very few things that we talk about in Mgtow. We talk why we don't, why we don't date, why we don't do those traditional things, why we don't live, and then we have these rules that we set up with, thou shalt not commit shame. And thou shalt not bring shame onto us, and thou shalt not bring shame to Mgtow. Thou shalt not feel shameful about things that are natural as a human male, and thou shalt not be shamed. And it was just one of the simple little rules that I thought everybody understand. But when I look around the manosphere now, all I see a lot of blue pill boys. Wow. They thought that we were talking about, put that stuff away and be shameful. No, we're not. We're not telling you to be shameful. We're telling you to use shame and negation so we can. Life is negation. Life is absurd. That's why I call myself an absurdist. Life is negation. You live so you can die. So you look at that like that. Unless you have an ability to figure out the knot, this ain't gonna work for these kids. And maybe they're not Mgtows. I don't know. I don't see many Mgtows around anymore. Most Mgtows don't use their brains anymore. I guess that's why they hate me. That's really delicious. If you get a chance to ever get the West Central Farm West End, Costa Rican, is high level, grown on volcanic ash. It's delicious. Roast your own, and you'll know a joy in life, at least one. So we're talking about shame, and then there's blaming. It always seems to go, it was all your fault. You're the one that did that. Most of the time women don't want to take responsibility. They don't even take responsibility for their own bodies. They have the right to choose. They have the right to say no. They have the right to abort. They have the decision, the cryptic decision of which male's female cryptic choice is the cryptic decision of which male they choose. And after all that, after all the rights that the government gives them, they still say something was our fault. Lack of agency or something there. I don't know what the major malfunction is, but we need to fix it. Yeah, they're clueless. That's why I often go into my separation of there should be man-free areas. There should be, apartments built for females where they can live in them, because we're going to end up paying that price anyways. And our altruism was for the children. And but you talk that way, and most people don't even understand what altruism is. And the government got to get their filthy hands off of it and stop spending it on military gear so Trump can blow up an MOB. And I know it must be cool to push the button and watch an MOB go off, but I don't like paying for it. When we have these other issues in society like this, we have to get the women's taken care of into their separate things, so us men can do our capitalist society, so we can live on the outskirts and build things and be left alone and not tortured and not shamed by Health and Human Services all the time. How many businesses have been destroyed by the recent since 1972 from Health and Human Services just destroying businesses, and basically the courts destroying businesses. I think about what our country could be, but they're like locusts. They're like pests that we have to deal with. This thing comes to America, and it comes to the world often, and we have to deal with these locusts, these pests that want more from men and refuse to evolve in themselves. It's like we're still dealing with the Cro-Magnon men in that era. These ape men. Because all they want is the split V, and it's supposed to be traditional, and if it's not traditional, they don't fucking understand the world around them. Mgtow truly in itself is about evolving. Mgtow is about being an evolved male. It's a very progressive thing. It's progressive thinking, and anytime I see traditionalism crop up in Mgtow, it's like I get a little gag, and I gag up a little. It's like it's like Jesus bringing traditionalism to our fine Mgtow. That's like a peanut butter and mustard sandwich. Music is dead because of piracy. Yeah. 6-7, he gives us whatever that number is. Zoom, hello Zoom, hello Tara, and hello Victor, hello everybody that came in as of late. I can't see how many people are in. They're not showing me that today. They're restricting that info. Oh, let me see. Yeah, I got it. Okay. They were restricting that information from me. I had to refresh my browser. So today's shame. How many different ways are they going to bring shame to you? How many different ways do they use it? How many different ways do they? There's positive aspects of shame, and that's what Mgtow usually. We like the positive aspects where I ask myself a question: am I falling short on this? So Am I falling short on something? Can I do this better? And I drive myself forward. As a monk, we simply call it our introspections. And it has a lot to do with shame. It has a lot to do with the negation of shame. It's like, okay, it's a negative thing. I'm looking at the negative, and I'm trying to make it into a positive. I'm taking lemons and I'm making lemonade, because that's what men do. We we work through things until we finally defeat things and we get things done. That's what them things are all about. These over here. We work through them, but that's a positive aspect of shame. There is a positive, and that's what we like to focus on in our introspections as Mgtow's. The negative aspects of shame is what we see with women in society and social shaming and blah, blah, blah. There's 100 different ways, the badge of shame that they give on men, the validation, the shame uses validates, the study of shame use and validations that they do. It's shame, all those things. And shame is about validations in some areas. That's when it becomes a negative amount. We often talk about validation. The shame campaigns that go on, little girls whispering in each other's ears, "Oh, those men are bad. They kill all men. They're all bad." And why are they all bad? Why are men all bad? They need us to be bad. So there's the social aspect of it, and I suppose there's stigma involved in it and traditional aspects. We talked about the traditional aspects of shame earlier. Shame and narcissism. And narcissism always wants a man around him to feel shame. The hypervigilant narcissism, the admiration and envy sort of thing, the stigma of shame. What qualities and there's a lot of different types of shame. The shame code, So it's worth going and reading a little bit about, and it all starts with that very, very human emotion. Every one of us have it. That very, very human emotion of the unpleasant feeling, the unpleasant emotion of associated with taking a negative evaluation of oneself. We withdraw motivation and something positive from that. And that should be used as a positive thing. But damn, we live in a world of people that are really flawed. Humans are flawed. And they take that and it's exposure and mistrust and powerlessness and worthlessness. From that, they siphon, they siphon things out of you. They funnel, they get things from you, and that's where it becomes very, very destructive to us. Barbarossa once said that it's like a sieve. They're gonna, being a male is going through life. They're gonna sieve off what they want from you, and they're gonna sieve off the gold from every male, and you get to go through the sieve of gynocentrism, and that had to do with the shame. What do they want from you? So they can sieve that out of this liquid that's flowing through the universe. It's another way to look at it. So let me look again and do my thing over here. I have to do my look at the mumble rappers and the anxiety medicated abuse going on. The anxiety yeah, we were talking about the anxiety. It seems to be a big topic. All the little boys are on Prozac now, so they can chain them down to chairs, and they use that, the society over the last. I remember when the Prozacs and them first came out. And it was the early 90s, the Paxils and the, what else is the Zolofts and those things. And once in a while, someone would say, "I'm taking Paxil." And I'm like, "What's you taking?" "I'm feeling depression." And I was like, "You're feeling what?" Go have a beer, get drunk, and get laid. And that was my answer to that. And they're, no, it's different. And yeah, now they use those drugs on little boys to keep them chained down into chairs so they can teach them math. And it really doesn't work because they're so zoned out. It'll be Paxil, then it'll be something else, and then at the end they're giving them those drugs so he can stay up all night and study hard. And it's one drug after another, and there's social anxiety and shame involved with that. The MOIAs, yeah. But like society always taps into the society always taps into our basic emotions: love, hate, shame. There's only 4 basic emotions: love, hate, shame, and envy. And there may be like 3 other minor emotions and stuff like that. And society learns to tap into that and try to sieve off what they can give from you and manipulate you into doing what they want you to do. Be a good worker. Be the best slave. You can be the best slave. And that's what I stopped being in life. I stopped being the best slave for everybody. I'm no longer being the best slave. I'm no longer being number 1 slave. I'd rather somebody else do that job, and I want to be the guy that gets the free money. You got to be on drugs to tolerate the garbage in mass media. Yeah, I think mass media is on drugs lately. The stuff I've been reading lately, logically in my head, I go through some of these arguments that they're supposed to be having right now, and some of them don't seem that sensible. And but that's what we lost. And when George Bush Jr. Had the argument with the 7 intercom. They were talking about was the 6 o'clock news and how you had to have a 6 o'clock news that represented truth. And when they were talking about truth, they're running on talking. They had a couple guys like me over in the corner there, and what we did is we ran everything through a truth table. And if it wasn't logical and it didn't run to a truth, they weren't allowed to air it. But George Bush Jr. and the heirs and the 7 intercoms said, no, truth is subjective. No, truth is not subjective. Truth is very logical, and if it doesn't run through a truth table, it doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for most men and most people. Humans are very smart. They pick up on them syllogisms, and they know there's something funny about it, and they know there's something untruthful about it, and that's the very argument that we're having today. So that whole argument and this fake news stuff came back to bite them in their ass, and that's what remorse is about. Remorse means to bite again. The whole argument came back to bite them in their ass, and and they're wondering as stupidly as they were wondering then when they got rid of why the 6 o'clock news had to be based on the truth, and what they were saying is logical truth that lines up to truth in a truth table. And like, oh, we'll just fire those guys because they're expensive and they're really smart and they irritate everybody. And then what they were doing was just removing men from their portion of the job, the editors. And that's what I used to do for the Army. I was an editor for the Army. And then those jobs went awry in the internet because everybody thinks that truth is subjective, and it's not. When I read the paper, I read it totally differently than most people read the news. I go, wow, that's a lie. That's not truthful. And I can see it in the words, how the words don't match up. And there's rhetorics. But when they got rid of that, that's when that started. George Bush Jr., what a shithole he was. So we're talking about shame today, and don't shame doesn't mean to be shameless, and that's the part I wanted to get to. That's the part that's gonna inflame Mgtows. I see the dolly diddling, and I see the sex talk, and I seen the boys run from me the other day because they didn't want to talk to someone logical. They wanted Mgtow the more fit their idea of the world, and their idea of the world is Mgtow should be like teenage boy gossip, where we talk about girls and sex dolls and all that stuff, and and it's garbage, and it's not Mgtow, and they want Mgtow to fit their idea of what Mgtow is, and that's not Mgtow. But they've become shameless. They took a simple idea of, and they don't really know because they never read what shame and the primary emotion. They don't want to get in touch with the primary emotion, so they made it into shamelessness, which is not what we were talking about, asses. That's what SFM would say. We weren't talking about that, ass. But that's what we can expect in Mgtow. And it's one of those things that when I talk about the reciprocal nature of Mgtow, we're going to come. Young boys are going to come in, and the new generation is going to come in. And they're going to think they invented everything, and they're going to try to muster through these things, and they'll get it eventually if they do enough research. But for a while, it's just, drama rules, and we see a lot of drama around, and there's drama, but they never think about the small intricacies of what Mgtow was and what Mgtow is, and why we say these things. Why monks are monks is why we should be men above reproach, why we should take on a more logistical view of the world, a more rational, why we always talk about the rational male. What is it when we call the rational male the rational male? He's rational, he's logistical, he sees truth, he does truth tables in his head. But that'll take a while, and it'll take a few years of college if they decide to go. But it's funny that our new Republican nation wants to they have problems with people going to college, they want to reduce the college spending, and we're just going to get gerbs. And that's just cracks me up. We're going to get those gerbs, and we're going to bring them, and all you're saying is, I'm the best slave. I can build that ship better than anybody. I can build that boat better than anybody for a master. And that cracks me up. Because on the same end, they have these Nietzscheans. They all like Nietzsche, and they want to talk about the master-slave relationship, and they're participating in the master-slave relationship when they're doing that. And it just cracks me up, and it's hypocrisy. It's total hypocrisy. Well, hypocrisy bothers me. It bothered Marx too, and if you never read Marx, Marx was all about anti-hypocrisy. That's all he was. He wanted to be an ornithologist, but he couldn't because everything was going on around him. So he decided to be an anti-hypocrist, and and he prognosticated something, and now they blame that on him, which is really fucking funny. But Nietzsche, like I say, Nietzsche to Hitler. Nietzsche is to Hitler what Marx is to Stalin, and you got to watch yourself on reading those things, and work up post Reconstruction era in the United States, and start reading guys like Wright and Dewey. And lately, I've been reading a lot of. Camus. Don't read a lot of Wright, and don't play into Wright, because Wright was a bigoted asshole, drunken asshole, but he was smart, and at least he was smart. He was like the local bar philosopher, and but we get Dewey and we get Camus, and I've been reading a lot of Camus lately, and because it more lines up with my philosophies in life, and I can see myself in Camus when I'm reading Camus, and it makes me happy. Finally, I found a philosopher that I can say this is what I am, and I've always often known about absurdity and everything, but I couldn't put my finger on what it was that I was. Uh, in this life, and finally I've discovered that, and I've discovered that through Mgtow and through a long process of reading a lot of worthless books uh, that I'm going to forget next week. Uh, but I hope everybody finds their Camus. You know, I hope each and one of you guys find that guy that you can read that seems to be just like you in life. For a long time, I thought it was Steinbeck, and I like Steinbeck's philosophy. And honest to God, Steinbeck does have a philosophy on life, and you know, Varnagit. I like Varnagit, and Varnagit has a philosophy on life. I'm a Buchananist some days. Some days I like to be. I'm a I'm a momentary Buchananist because I can't say no some days. If somebody comes around, I'll wake up and I'll go, hey, I got the whole day free. And somebody comes around and they say, Joe, you want to go do this? And I go, yep. and and I won't question what's going on around me. I'll just go, yep, I'll go do that. And then the next decision, yep, I'll do that. Yep, I'll just see where it goes and see where life goes. And that's Buchananism. You just go with the flow and see where that shit takes you some days, because that's exciting. And there's no decision making in that, and you just go with it. The story of Buchanan was if I pronouncing it wrong, was he was a slave that freed himself, and he was stuck in a boat, and he got over to Jamaica and everything, and he started this religion through a lot of oppression. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, Father, no, you're going to head on out. I think I'm going to head on out pretty soon and do my Buchananism role in this world and just go with the flow, since I got a whole Sunday, which I don't have to really think about nothing. I've slept in, and Dougie slept in, and he needs some care too now. I have to wash him every day now. And Dougie's moving into the afterlife, and I've been trying to tell Dougie as he moves into the afterlife here, that please come back and let me know what the afterlife is about, because there's this argument in this world about, is there a God and isn't there a God? And they say that Dougie's going to move to the Rainbow Bridge, which is a kind of nice thought for him. And I've been trying to explain that to him. He doesn't seem to be listening. He wants to move to the apple can bridge, where the bridge is built out of apple cans, and he has fingers now that he can open the can. That's his heaven. And I wish that for Dougie, but there's a lot of care involved with a dog that's going on his last days, and his kidneys are breaking down, and I have to keep massive amounts of blankets and wash every day. It's like taking care of an old person. I got to wash him down and make sure he's loved, and hug him, and tell him everything's going to be okay, and carry him to the back door, and do those things for him that you would do for anybody you love. And I love Dougie, but he's at the end of his life, and I hope he makes it through this sickness, but I don't think he is going to. His kidneys are failing, and I'm just waiting for the moment where he stops eating, and then I can have him euthanized, or just wait it out with them. I'm just waiting it out with Doug, because I'm selfish and I don't want to release. 15 years sometimes is short. 12 years is the most, right around that. 10 years, 8 years with the dog, and you get attached to him, and then you have to release that, but there's a lot of work that goes on at the end of that, and he smells like a big urine ball now, and I have to wash him like I would care for anything I love. and like I would care for an adult or another person. But in that, it shows you how how empathetic we can be, how sympathetic, and in that we find our humanity. And it's a difficult thing for all of us, but in that we find our humanity, and we can look at ourselves and examine what we are as humans and how much better we are than the animal kingdom. In that we find our godliness, and because we do share this empathy, this altruism, this thing to care, and that's what makes us different. A lion would just bite the other lion on the neck and tear his jugular out and send him on his way to the afterworld. But that's about it. So I have to go through that now with Doug, and I do love that little dog, and I think he's going to be my last dog. I think it's going to be a guinea pig from here on out. I have to pick out a guinea pig pretty soon, and even with the guinea pig, I got attached to him. But we learn a lot. We learn a lot from these things, and that's what the good part about being a Mgtow is. We can do those self-examinations of ourselves, those deep introspections, and we learn how to deal with the shame that the world wants to throw on us, and how they manipulate us through the shame and the insults and the guilt, and how it wasn't supposed to be that way. Shame was supposed to be a motivator, if to drive us to inspire us to do Tesla-like things, to work harder on and demand more of yourself. But when shame becomes that negative emotion of what I can get from Joe and how I can shame him through a code of honor, it becomes negative, and men reject that. We talk about Teslas, we talk about these guys for a reason, because each and every one of you have that in you. They become that Uberman, that Superman, and lose the slave mentality. But as long as we still have this place in this world where shame is used to motivate men to be better slaves, it ain't going to work, and we're going to have to fix that. And that's what Mgtow's about, and that's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. I'm trying to fix something. I have a cause. Why are you here? Why are you here at Mgtow? The best answer is because, by cause. And I now have a cause to fix that. What's wrong with traditional society? And how can I explain these things to morons? Because most of the time, blue pill men are morons, and they just don't think about themselves in any idea of freedom. They're the slave mentality. But with that, they're like, crabs in a bucket. They want to drag you down too with their slave mentality. I'm not a slave. That's what we're saying in Mgtow. I'm not a slave. And I hope each and every one of you guys get that. And I'm going to end this thing on that. And like always, man, go your own way. All your sins are forgiven. All your sins are forgiven. That's a statement of shame. But take that and use it and become a better man. Become the monk. Take a deep introspection. These things that we do and I talk about here have a pattern, and they have a structure to them. And I think you'll be better off. Most of all, men, go your own way. And thanks for being Mgtow. Mgtow.